Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use Vallejo Primers to get the absolute best finish for your model. Now before I start, I know somebody's going to say just use lacquers. Well, I live with roommates and I live with pets, and that's just not practical. Lacquers leave a smell that lasts for hours and hours. It's just horrendous and people don't like it. So I was going to demonstrate how I use Vallejo Primers on this F86, except that video got completely lost and there's some other issues. So ignore the mistake on the bottom there. I'll explain that later. But I'm going to go through the process to get a really nice, beautiful finish. And the secret is Future, or Pledge as it's called. Vallejo primers are polyurethane primers. Now, I'm not a chemist. This has been explained to me by some smart people. And the way polyurethane primers work, when you airbrush them, they take 24 to 48 hours to dry. On the top surface, they look dry, but they are not dry. And what happens is if you don't wait the proper amount of time for them to dry before you sand them, the primer will peel back like rubber does. And this is a big complaint that people have against Vallejo primers. But if you add in Future, it makes the primer go rock hard in about 15 minutes. So what you see me doing is adding 50% Future to 50% primer, and doing the black fresh method to where I'm getting some really nice bubbles, and you can go ahead and use the primer after that. What you want to do is just check that you've got some nice bubbles like those ones right there. That's perfect. It's a little watery and I like that. I want it to go on nice, almost like paint rather than a primer. So as you can see on this test piece, I'm going in with a nice misty layer at first. And then I'm building up. And the primer is going on smooth. And my PSI right now is about 15 PSI. 15 to 20 PSI is what I recommend for this method. I'm using a 0.3 millimeter nozzle right now, but I will go smaller with a 0.2 millimeter. I have several airbrushes, so I use different airbrushes at different times. But hopefully you can see it's nice and smooth and it's got almost a satin finish to it. And this is a perfect primer right here for doing metallic finishes like on the F86. And this is exactly what I did for the F86 that you saw earlier. Now I will mention that I personally like the Mecha Range Black Primer over their regular primer. I don't know if there's a different chemical compound, whatever it might be, but I just really prefer it more. I think the color is nicer. I think it just handles nicer. But I have their other primers as well. Okay, bringing you guys in closer, and hopefully you can see just how smoothly the primer is going on right now. And another benefit of this is that after 15 minutes, the primer will have gone rock hard and you can begin to sand it, and it will not peel as it normally does. In fact, it will smooth out and feather out really nicely. And if you saw the F86, there was a mistake there where the decal liquid ate through the decal, and I had to peel away the decal from the paint and exposing the plastic. So I will show you how to feather out a mistake in the primer or a flaw a little bit later on, but I want to show you how it airbrushes really, really nicely right here. So there we are. It's looking nice. Sorry, it's a little fuzzy. Okay, so as I mentioned, the F86 build. I had done an entire video on this. Unfortunately, the video was lost via my camera. I wanted to show how resilient the primer is. The primer was great. Unfortunately, what happened is the decal setting solution ate through the decal, so I had to remove all the decals from the kit. So to smooth out the primer, you don't want to press into the primer with your sanding sponge here. I'm using 600 grit. I recommend not going lower than 600 when you're trying to do something like this. And I'm going to go nice and gently in circular motions all over using a little bit of water. I actually took a lot of the water out, but I'm just to start it. And then I don't recommend using water after the first 600. Now I'm going to 1,000. Again, doing the same thing, light, gentle motions, circular motions, trying to knock back the paint and the primer. And because this is a metallic build and we're going to spray extreme metal color on here, it is very important we get a nice smooth finish. And that's what I wanted to show on this model, was you can get a very nice smooth finish with Vallejo primers. So you can spray metallic colors and get a nice natural metal finish going, and a natural metal finish will show every single flaw. So this is really important to have a primer that feathers out really nicely. So I went from 1,000 to 2,000 grit and just knocking back the paint and trying to smooth out everything. I'm trying to find my 3,000 grit here, and I forgot where I placed it. But onto the 3,000. And now I'm using a polishing stick here just to smooth out any issues there might be. And this will help you feather out the primer to a nice, a beautiful, polished look. And then you come in with your Vallejo primer again. And there we go. You can see everything is smooth and nice, and we can go ahead and spray our metallic color and it will blend in beautifully, and you will not be able to see the prior issues that we had to fix. Now, if there are issues, go to about 1,000 grit, see if you can use 1,000 grit to knock out the issues. Okay, masking and spraying. So in this kit, on the wings, I did spray gray primer in order to just give a different tone to the aluminum paint. So I'm masking here. I haven't detacked the tape, by the way. I just put it on straight. Again, the primer is very resilient, and the paint is actually very resilient as well. As you can see, some of the tape is on the extreme metal, and it's very resilient paint. So I'm going to use the surface primer, the gray. And again, same process. 50% future, 50% gray primer, back flush, nice bubbles. That's what I'm looking for, and I'm ready to spray. There we go. It's going to be a fairly wet mixture, and that's what I'm looking for. I want a nice wet mixture. I'm going to go in nice thin layers. So while I'm painting here, I should mention that I was hoping to demonstrate more on this kit for you guys, but unfortunately, not only did the decals go bad on me, I lost the landing gear on this kit and the canopy. So I'm waiting for replacement parts before I can finish it. I was hoping to have an entire video, and I also lost the previous videos on my camera. They went bad and wouldn't download for some reason. So just everything went wrong with this build, unfortunately. So as you can see, I just pulled the tape off, no issues, very smooth, and it's only been about 15 minutes since I sprayed. And it's now I'm getting ready to spray the AK Extreme Metal. Shake the paint till there's nothing on the bottom. Using my 0.2 millimeter airbrush here at 15 psi. and light misty coats at first. There we go. And it's looking shiny. It's looking really nice. And I'm going to blend in some of the other problems that we see here, and so it will look nice and smooth. And you can see we were able to feather out super nice. There's no issue. You cannot see any sort of step in between the paint and the primer whatsoever. And always make sure to hit the back of the wing. I've noticed a lot of modelers forget to do that, and you'll see the primer just showing through on the back of the wing there. And here are the final results with black Vallejo primer. As you can see, you can get some really, really nice results. Just use Future, and that's it. That's the secret, folks.